We all carry things we don't need, old stories, fears, and expectations that weigh us down. We hold onto them because they feel familiar, even when they hold us back. But here's the truth: you cannot rise while gripping what keeps you stuck. You cannot grow while clinging to who you used to be. Today, I want us to make a choice, a bold one. The choice to release what drains us, what limits us, what keeps us living small, because life doesn't change when things become easier. It changes when we become stronger. So together, let's step forward. Let's talk about what we need to let go, not someday, not when it's comfortable, but now, because you deserve a life that is lighter and better. Fear is something we all understand. It shows up quietly at first, like a whisper telling us to stay where we are, to avoid the risk, to remain comfortable. Fear convinces us that discomfort is danger and that staying still is safe. But what it never tells us is the real cost of that safety: our growth, our dreams, our potential. When we allow fear to lead our decisions, we don't just protect ourselves from failure, we also block every possibility of success. Fear doesn't just hold us back from what we want, it keeps us from discovering who we could become. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action while fear is trying to stop you. There are people who wait for the moment when fear disappears before they make a move, but that moment never comes. Fear always finds a reason to stay. If we want to live a better life, we need to make choices that fear won't approve of. We have to speak even when our voice shakes, try even when we're unsure, and take steps forward even if we don't know exactly where they will lead. Growth can't happen inside our comfort zone. The comfort zone might feel safe, but it is also where dreams slowly suffocate. Think of all the times fear convinced you to step back. Maybe you had a goal, an idea, or a desire that made your heart beat faster, but instead of moving toward it, you played it small. You told yourself it wasn't the right time. You convinced yourself you weren't ready. Fear always knows which excuses sound the most logical. It's clever like that, but deep down, there's always that voice inside you, the one whispering that you're capable of more. That voice is your truth. Fear is just the noise around it. Every person who achieved something meaningful had to confront fear. They didn't start confident. They built confidence by acting in the presence of fear again and again until courage became stronger. Confidence is earned. It's the reward you get after doing the thing you were afraid to do. People look at courageous individuals and think they were born fearless, but courage is a learned behavior, developed through repetition, resilience, and refusing to let fear have the final word. We often fear judgment. What will they think about us? What if they laugh? What if we fail publicly? The strange part is, people rarely think about us as much as we imagine. Most are too busy worrying about their own fears and insecurities. So why let the opinions of others control the direction of your life? When you give others that power, you lose your own. You become a version of yourself built on what they want, not what you want, and there is no freedom in that. There is also the fear of failure. We treat failure like a permanent label, as if one mistake defines our entire identity. But failure is simply feedback information that guides us closer to success. No one learns by getting everything right on the first try. Failure is not a wall, it is a stepping stone. The only true failure is refusing to try. When you avoid failure, you avoid progress. Some people fear change because it forces them to leave the familiar. But nothing good grows in what is familiar. If your life always feels comfortable, you're not living, you're surviving. You deserve more than survival. You deserve a life that challenges you, shapes you, and helps you rise into the strongest version of yourself. Courage is the key to unlocking that transformation. When you choose courage over comfort, you choose possibility over limitations. Fear might still follow you, but it will no longer be the one deciding your future. One of the biggest traps we fall into is living for approval. From the moment we are young, we learn to seek validation. Gold stars, praise, likes, attention. We start shaping ourselves around what other people want from us. We adjust our voices, our decisions, even our dreams, just to make others happy. But when you spend your life trying to be accepted, you forget who you really are. You become a reflection of other people's expectations instead of someone who stands firmly in their own truth. Approval becomes an addiction, a constant chase that never provides lasting fulfillment. Because here's the harsh reality: people's opinions are inconsistent, they change, they shift, they contradict each other, and if you build your self-worth on something so unpredictable, you will always feel unstable. The desire for approval might feel harmless, but it is one of the most powerful forces holding people back. It makes us hesitate, it makes us doubt ourselves, it convinces us that our value depends on someone else saying, "Yes, you're good enough," but your worth is not up for debate. It does not increase when someone praises you, and it does not decrease when someone rejects you. Worth is something you own by simply existing. The moment you internalize that truth, you become untouchable. Seeking approval leads to choices that betray who you are. You may say yes when your heart screams no. You may stay silent when you need to speak up. You may shrink yourself so others feel comfortable. But a life lived for applause will never feel authentic. You could make every person in the room happy and still feel empty because you weren't living for yourself. Validation is temporary. Authenticity is freedom. Think about the people whose opinions you worry about most. Do they live your life for you? Do they face your challenges, feel your emotions, or accomplish your goals? No. Yet many of us give these people, sometimes strangers, the power to define us. The truth is, people are going to judge you anyway. Whether you're doing too much or too little, they will always have something to say. The difference is whether you let their voices become louder than your own. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim that power. Building inner confidence takes courage. It requires looking inward, not outward. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" ask, "Do I like me?" Instead of wondering, "What will they think?" ask, "What do I think?" When your self-respect becomes the priority, approval from others becomes a bonus, not a requirement. You stop chasing acceptance because you already accept yourself. Some people will not understand your choices. Some will criticize you, some will walk away. Let them. The right people will support your growth, not hinder it. The right people will celebrate your uniqueness, not demand that you change to fit their comfort. Holding onto relationships that depend on your conformity will cost you your identity. Losing those connections may feel painful, but abandoning yourself is the deepest wound of all. There will be moments when standing in your truth feels uncomfortable. You might be the only one in the room with a different opinion. You might have to defend your boundaries. You might disappoint someone. But remember, disappointment is a normal part of life. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. You are responsible for honoring who you are. True confidence is knowing that not everyone will like you and being completely fine with it. When you release the need for approval, you gain the most valuable kind of freedom, the freedom to be yourself without permission. The past has a powerful grip. It holds our memories, our mistakes, and the moments that hurt us. We replay scenes over and over in our minds, analyzing what we should have said, what we should have done differently, or how life would look if only we hadn't failed. But the past is not a place where we are meant to live. It is meant to teach us, not trap us. When we cling to our past failures, we drag old pain into a present that deserves a fresh start. We allow who we used to be to restrict who we are capable of becoming, and that limits every opportunity for growth. Failure is something every human being will experience. It does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are incapable. Failure simply means you are trying. The most successful and strongest people have stories filled with setbacks. What separates them from those who stay stuck is how they interpret those moments. They don't look at a mistake and see a permanent label. They see a lesson. They see information. They see a new path forming. Where one person says, "I failed, so I must stop," they say, "I failed, so I must learn and try again." That mindset changes everything. We often allow our past to become our identity. We let one bad chapter define the whole story. If we were rejected once, we assume we are not good enough. If something fell apart, we believe that everything will fall apart. The The brain tries to protect us from future pain by reminding us of what hurt before. But protection can turn into imprisonment when we refuse to move forward. Holding onto the past means giving your future away. Every time you say, "This is just how I am," or "I can't because I failed before," you are choosing to stay stuck in a version of yourself that no longer matches who you are growing into. Sometimes we hold on to the past because we feel guilty. We believe we should have known better, done better, chosen better. But guilt does not rewrite history. Apologizing to yourself for being human is not necessary. You acted with the awareness and strength you had at the time. Today, you have more. Use that. Let the past be proof of how far you've come, not evidence that you don't deserve to go further. Other times, the past hurts because people hurt us. We carry betrayal, heartbreak, and disappointment like emotional luggage. We reopen the wound by reliving what happened. We think that holding onto the pain protects us from future pain, but it only keeps us bleeding. Healing is not about forgetting what happened. It is about deciding that the pain no longer gets to control you. Forgiveness is not for them. It is for you. It is the act of choosing peace over replaying a story that already ended. Forward is the only direction life moves. When you drive a car, the rearview mirror is tiny while the windshield is wide. You glance at the past, but you focus on where you're going. The same should be true in your life. You cannot create a new future while staring at old chapters. Every day you wake up is a blank page. The pen is still in your hand, and as long as you're writing, the story isn't over. You deserve to give yourself permission to evolve. Who you are today is wiser, stronger, and more capable than your past self. The fact that you're still here after everything you've been through is proof of resilience. You do not have to stay loyal to the experiences that broke you. You are allowed to outgrow your former limitations. You are allowed to choose progress over perfection. You are allowed to step towards something better without giving the past another word to speak. We all have relationships that shape us, some that help us grow, and others that slowly take pieces of us away. Toxic relationships aren't always loud or obvious. Sometimes they start with charm, support, and connection. But over time, they drain our energy, undermine our confidence, and make us question our own worth. These relationships can be friendships, romantic partners, coworkers, even family members. What makes them toxic isn't one argument or one bad moment. It's the consistent pattern of disrespect, manipulation, negativity, or emotional harm that becomes normal. And when we allow that to continue, we begin to lose sight of who we are. It can be incredibly difficult to admit that someone you care about is not good for you. You might feel responsible for their happiness or hopeful that they will change. You might hold onto the few good moments, convincing yourself that things will get better if you just stay patient, kind, or forgiving. But love without boundaries becomes sacrifice. Loyalty without self-respect becomes self-betrayal. When a relationship requires you to shrink so the other person feels bigger, that relationship is not love. It is control. When you stay silent to keep the peace, you aren't in peace at all. Toxic people often use guilt to keep you close. They make you feel like leaving is an act of cruelty. They may call you selfish, dramatic, or ungrateful for protecting your peace. And because you are caring and empathetic, you internalize that blame. But someone who truly cares about you will never ask you to sacrifice your mental or emotional well-being to maintain the connection. The more you compromise who you are just to keep someone else in your life, the more distant you become from yourself. You cannot build a healthy future on a foundation that constantly harms you. Sometimes toxicity comes in subtle forms. It may not be anger or manipulation, but constant negativity, a person who brings you down every time you try to rise. Someone who mocks your ambition, doubts your abilities, or minimizes your dreams. They project their own insecurities onto you because watching you grow makes them uncomfortable. They want company in their misery, not inspiration in their life. You can care about people without allowing their pessimism to poison your progress. Protecting your peace does not make you cruel. It makes you strong. Walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is choosing to give yourself the love, energy, and hope that someone else keeps taking from you. It is recognizing that not everyone you lose is a loss. Some exits are blessings in disguise. Letting go of toxic relationships creates space for healthier, stronger, more supportive people to enter your life. You deserve relationships where respect is equal, love is mutual, and communication is honest. You deserve to feel safe, encouraged, and valued. No matter who the person is, your well-being has to come first. You are not obligated to remain connected to someone just because of history or blood. Family does not excuse harm. Length of time does not justify pain. The most courageous thing you can do is honor your boundaries even when it disappoints others. It means saying, "I choose myself," and refusing to apologize for it. Healing begins the moment you stop tolerating what hurts you. You are allowed to walk away, to release the weight of unhealthy attachments, and to build a life that feels like peace instead of survival. Excuses are easy to make because they protect us from discomfort. They give us a way out when we feel scared, overwhelmed, or unsure of ourselves. "I don't have time. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail?" These phrases become shields we use to justify staying exactly where we are. But excuses don't keep us safe. They keep us stuck. Every time we choose an excuse, we choose to remain the same. We avoid challenges that could help us grow, and we trade our potential for temporary comfort. The life we want doesn't slip away because of what we lack, but because of what we refuse to try. Responsibility is the turning point. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, luck, or other people, you take your power back. When you say, "This is my life and I'm responsible for what I do with it," something inside you shifts. You stop waiting for someone else to fix things. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize perfection doesn't exist. Progress is messy, growth is uncomfortable, but responsibility is what drives change. It means acknowledging that your actions, not your excuses, will determine your future. Many people believe that success is reserved for the lucky or the privileged, but success is built on effort. It's created through consistent decisions that push you forward, even when motivation disappears. Saying "I can't" becomes a habit, and so does saying "I will." Both choices shape your identity. Every time you push yourself a little further, you build strength. Every time you choose an excuse instead, you reinforce weakness. The more responsibility you take, the more control you gain over your own life. Excuses may seem harmless, but they slowly erode confidence. When you tell yourself you can't, part of you starts to believe it. You train your mind to accept limitations that might not even be real. You begin to expect less from yourself, and when you expect less, you achieve less. The danger lies not in failing, but in convincing yourself that you shouldn't even try. You become a spectator in your own life instead of the creator of it. There will always be obstacles: time, money, lack of support, uncertainty. But every person who has achieved something meaningful faced those same obstacles. The difference is they made a choice. Instead of saying "I can't because," they said "How can I?" That shift in mindset opens doors. It turns problems into puzzles. It transforms fear into curiosity. Solutions appear when excuses disappear. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to do everything perfectly. It doesn't mean you won't struggle or need help. It simply means you refuse to hand over control of your life to circumstances. You don't wait for motivation. You create discipline. You don't wait to feel confident. You build confidence by taking action. You don't wait for opportunities, you make them. When you own your choices, you also own your results. There will be days when you feel tired or discouraged, days when giving up feels easier than moving forward. In those moments, excuses will whisper comforting lies, telling you it's okay to quit, but that is when responsibility matters most. That is when discipline outweighs doubt. Every step, no matter how small, is progress. Every attempt gets you closer to where you want to be. The person you want to become is already within you, waiting for you to stop holding back. You are capable of more than you think. You have strength you haven't tapped into yet. Your future doesn't depend on luck or timing. It depends on your willingness to show up for yourself. The moment you drop the excuses and take full responsibility, you unlock the door to everything you've ever wanted.